This is an origin reading for the realization. Okay, so I guess I'm going to start the way I normally do, which is I'll show you the crystals that I've drawn for your reading. Talk a little bit about what these mean. So this is my geode here. It's not really a specific geode. I mean, maybe it is, but I don't know what type it is. But for me, geodes always feel really grounding. This one in particular, it always feels very grounding. There's a lot of healing energies I feel that come from it. And then at the same time, I feel like it's connecting somehow to higher realms as well. And it feels kind of interdimensional as well. So it connects to kind of other realms in general. And then I have my Fuchsite, and I have my obsidian here. So obsidian is really good at deflecting negative energies. There's also a feeling coming in like processing, I want to say processing information. And it feels like filtering things out. So Fuchsite, actually, it's a very healing stone, but it has a lot to do with information. And it has to do with like picking up psychic information, and obsidian does have to do with like filtering things in the sense of sort of not allowing negative energies to sort of come towards you, because it is good at absorbing things. So I think what's actually coming in is more having to do with the two of these together. When I have them together, this is also talking about filtering information that's coming towards you, since this is about filtering negativity in a sense, and this is definitely all about information, receiving information. It can be past life information or other information you pick up on psychically, even information about things that need to be healed, how to heal those things. So yeah, when I couple these two together, that is what that's feeling like. So kind of processing and filtering through negative information as well. It feels like there's a lot that can come towards you, and a lot of there's a lot of like information that can come towards you all the time, things that you constantly need to filter out. There's constantly things like there are decisions that need to be made, and then there are things that constantly try to influence the decisions that you're going to make. But part of this feels almost like career kind of thing, or path kind of thing. Okay, so this brings me to the other thing that was coming in before I started the reading. Well, okay, I started the reading, but before I started it on here, because I always tap into the person's guides and they give me the code name before I start the reading, so that I have the code name. Obviously, I need that to begin. So I always surround the person in protective space before I start reading them. And in this case, before I started getting the code name. So when I'm surrounding the person, a lot of times blocks and things like that will come up. So there was one block that was coming up as I went around, which was on your foot. And this was specifically your right foot. So feet can have to do with different things, but a lot of times they have to do with path-related things. It can be other things like past life and things like that. So there can be some other issues. It can be grounding. But usually it tends to be path with my readings anyway. That usually ends up what the meaning is. So Also, specifically, it was on your right foot. So your right has to do with what you are doing, whereas your left has to do more with what you're receiving versus what you're putting out. So when it comes to your path, you are more or less open to receiving what that's going to be. But with the right, there are kind of some blocks as far as kind of where to put yourself or what you're going to be doing. And then this kind of reminded me of your last reading, which I had completely forgotten about. Obviously, I've had tons of readings in between your last one and this one. But I kind of remembered when I hit against that block about some kind of career or path kind of related things when it came to knowing what you're going to be doing. And I'm wondering even if the realization, if that code name doesn't have to do with that, because then I was kind of reminded of how they were saying that eventually you'll know what you're going to be doing and it's going to kind of hit you what to do, whereas now you're just kind of following your path. So it makes sense that your kind of receiving side would be very open because that's really what you're doing. You're just receiving right now, as far as where to go and what to do, all these things. Okay, right. So then the other thing that I have to say would be your guide. So, okay, actually, I have to backtrack a little bit with that too. So when I first started surrounding you in the protective space, I was kind of, it felt like I was kind of feeling your energy a little bit. And I really don't know how to place this specific energy that I was feeling. I know it's extraterrestrial. So this is definitely some type of star seed energy. But obviously there are, a gazillion, like a Google stars and planets that a soul can be on. Like it's really countless and you can't really put a number on it. And so obviously there are going to be many that I haven't really felt. There are kind of, there are ones that I feel pretty often. Then once in a while I have one that I haven't really come across very much. Or in this case, one that I'm pretty sure I haven't really felt this at all before. Um, oh, and he's reminding me of that too. This F keeps coming in. This is something with him. I don't know if it's, okay, he's reminding me. This is an F, this is a P. Okay, F and P obviously look really similar. Um, so this is, it's not an F, it's a P. I keep thinking it's an F, it's a P. Um, so I'm thinking this has something to do with him. So I don't know if it's like a name. I'm figuring it has something to do with like his name, something like that. But, and this is definitely a male coming in. Even that, I felt a little unsure of at first, not even because it feels like it could be female. I think maybe just because of the unfamiliarity with this specific energy, which again I know is extraterrestrial, but just not a specific group, I guess, that I am familiar with. So I don't know where this guide is coming from right now. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it either, the specific place. I'm going to see what will come up. But obviously there might be, some places that I'm not going to be able to get exactly just because where even are all these places? Okay, it's this universe. So we can pinpoint it's this universe. He's saying that. I think he is joking a little bit there. I already kind of knew it was this universe. It doesn't feel really far away, actually. It does feel kind of um, like relatively close. So this could be a place that we've probably heard of, or that we could like find. It doesn't feel like it's like far away where we can't see it or something like that. Okay, but he's also saying that there aren't a lot of souls coming in from this specific place. This entity, I can tell you, has a different body type though. And his energy just feels really, really big. Like it feels really huge. Most guides, they kind of like, I feel their energy in more of a contained spot. It's still a contained spot. It's just a really like massive contained spot, if that makes sense. It's just like a kind of big area. Like I should really say area more than spot. But then at the same time, I can feel that he's standing behind me, but again, he feels kind of spread out. Whereas usually if a guide's standing behind me, they just feel like they're like right behind me. Okay. I don't know if this guide is like air or liquid, something, not something so solid. Maybe it's something almost in between air and liquid. I don't know. Maybe it's air containing liquid. No. Um, but something more along that line. And it is like a body. It is like a physical body in a sense, or like a solid body. But it's not made out of the same stuff as we are. I feel like this is your origin as well. Wherever this guide is coming from, this is like the place. I even feel like this is the body type that you would have as your origin. So this isn't as like obviously all the places that you have been. So there are probably other places that you would connect with as a soul to degrees. Then there's also some kind of animal, I don't know if it's totems or it's, they feel a little different from regular animal totems. Because one thing coming in, it feels like a horse, and that keeps kind of happening. And it kind of correlates to his energy, though, in the same way, which I know is kind of odd. I feel like I feel like that's kind of him that I'm picking up on somehow. I don't know why it's feeling to me almost like a horse sometimes. But like, well, for one thing, it feels big. It feels like broad. And then this idea of almost like if you think of like a mystical horse kind of like running, but almost where in some way it almost doesn't need to touch the floor. If you were almost to, but maybe it does at the same time, but almost where it feels like a kind of etherical or kind of mystical kind of horse. if it were rushing forward. There's this kind of solid but ethereal kind of energy with this. Kind of makes me think of a horse somehow. And then the other thing that was kind of coming in earlier was some kind of, felt like some type of bird. Like, I wasn't sure if it was like a phoenix. Now that was before when I was getting the code name, but that feels a little more like symbolic in a sense. Um, you can kind of think of something unknown, or you could almost think of how how phoenixes burn and then they rise out of their own ashes. You can almost think of ashes as like, you could say something lost, but you can also say something like it's something that you are seeking or that you just don't know yet. So let's say the phoenix dies and it's covered in the ashes. So you can't see it, it's hidden. But then when it's reborn, it bursts out of the ashes and now you can see it again. Now you can see it in the form that it really is. And it's rising and it's taking on whatever shape it's going to take. So this is kind of this analogy that they're kind of giving when it comes to you and sort of the birthing of, in a sense, your career and like your life path. It's like it's kind of unknown. It's kind of hidden to you right now. There are even qualities within yourself that you can't really see, that you haven't discovered yet and that you don't know about. So in some ways you don't quite know all the kind of hidden qualities about yourself yet, or even all of your skills or all of your passions. You're young and you're still kind of finding these things out. So you can't really see them. They're kind of obscure and hidden. And some of them, though, are hidden in plain sight. So it's like eventually it's like you have this realization. So this can be with multiple things, not only with something ultimate like your career and your path and this is it, but even smaller things when it comes to just knowing who you are and knowing your place in smaller ways. And stepping into that more and more, stepping into that energy of yourself and growing spiritually and growing personally, growing mentally, growing emotionally, and stepping into who you are more and more. So they're kind of, it's more like the phoenix is like, you can almost think of it as like something in your belly, in a sense. When you think of it as being covered by the ashes, it's kind of down in there, almost like in your womb. And you can kind of think of it when it rises, it's kind of coming to your conscious mind. So it's these parts of you that are kind of buried a little bit. They're kind of obscure, but they're there and they're very much part of you, and you're just not quite observing them yet. So they kind of hit you one by one. And the pieces kind of just start to flood up to your conscious mind where you can observe them clearly. Okay, so this also is kind of like feminine and masculine energy. So according to the Council for the Assistance to Earth, this is how they always tend to describe feminine and masculine energy. So your feminine, it's like nighttime. It's very still, it's very quiet, it's like a very meditative space. That's where you seek things out that you can't see. So it represents all these like deeper hidden qualities that you have. It represents the unknown. It represents metaphysical abilities that we use and that we tap into. Our intuition and other things that we have to read or that we have to seek out. And also things that we have to kind of tap into ourselves to develop or to use, like a psychic ability. Whereas on the other hand, our conscious mind, this is like the day. This is things that have come to light already. It's things that we are aware of, that we're already conscious of, and that we already know about ourselves or about the world around us. They're also mentioning that obviously there can be negatives and positives to all of this. So you can have, subconscious gifts that you're not aware of. You can also have subconscious hidden beliefs or views about yourself or the world or your life. And the same with your conscious mind. You can have conscious beliefs that don't really align with who you are, that aren't really helping you manifest and create out of your pure intentions, your truest intentions, because they're in the way. You can also have conscious beliefs that really serve you, that are not limited. You can believe that no limitation is real in a sense. Maybe you believe this subconsciously, or maybe you believe it consciously. So there's also that. You can also disagree with something subconsciously that you're fully believing consciously, or at least fully intending to believe consciously. And then they're saying that there are areas and there are degrees. Like areas as in like different ways, or like different areas of a certain thing. Obviously, you can feel that you're limited in different ways, or you can feel that you're unlimited in different ways or different areas. Okay, so it's like, again, it has to do with one area after the other after the other. It's like all these different smaller things, and then it comes to one like complete, fulfilled, ultimate kind of realization of who you are and your skills, who you are as a person, but also who you are as a soul and a spirit. So in other words, who you are meant to be here, in a sense, kind of the character that you're playing, what you're meant to be doing here, how you are meant to show yourself or show your reality through this physical experience that you're having, and through your physical self. And then there's you as your infinite self. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and surround us in some protective space again, see if anything else comes up. I've got a few minutes left, and there's kind of a pause here. So we'll see if they have anything else to say. Okay, so I've got a female guide coming up. Same exact energy. This is definitely the same being type. It feels female versus male, but the energy type, whatever this is the same. Okay. I'm thinking maybe this P that was coming in, this might actually be her name, not his name. And now this is looking something like Pedora. So this is like Pedora or something that sounds like this, something that sounds similar to this. I was thinking even again with one of the letters, the D. I had a little bit off before, but it's a D. Okay, whose name is this? Okay, this is her name. I've got about a minute left. I don't really think they have anything else to say. So I'm just going to do a little bit of clearing. So I'm going to use my obsidian. I think the way to get rid of this block with your right foot, the thing is, you're not really supposed to be doing anything other than following your intuition and doing whatever it tells you. Because not everything is going to reveal itself immediately, and so it kind of just feels like let go. And kind of allow yourself to be in an unknown space right now and just let that be there. And then you won't actually block it from showing up when it does. And I feel like that's really all that foot block is about. It's just more you wanting to see things that aren't meant to be shown yet, or kind of wanting to rush the process a little bit. So just kind of step back and just let go is what feels like easily clears that. It doesn't feel like a major block. Okay, so that is all that your guides have to say for this reading. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this reading for you, and I truly hope that it benefits you. Thank you very much. Namaste.